Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Spindle TV class. How are you doing? Last week, we talked about tonight that we were going to be discussing LUA, LUA programming and making gadgets, or experimenting with gadgets and everything. Let's get Charlie on board here. How you doing there, Charlie?
Good, Lanny. Happy birthday.
Yeah, man. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Um, the Vectric software has the ability, you have the ability within the Vectric software to create a little side program called a gadget that can perform many different things. We're going to look at some of the sample gadgets tonight that Vectric has offer, and then we're going to look at how we can create them. And here's the great thing. Now, if we would have been having this class even last year this time, it would be completely different than what it's going to be tonight. And the reason for that is because now AI is in the world, artificial intelligence, ChatGPT, and things like that. And the one thing that AI is very good at, there's a lot of things it's good at, but the one thing it's really good at is coding and helping with coding and things like that. So when we start to look at LUA, and what is LUA? It's a coding language. And when we start to look at it, the first thing that that'll probably come to your mind is like, whoo, that's a lot. That's involved and everything. And oh God, you might think like I'm 51 now today, and I might think, ooh, I'm too old to be learning, how to code something and all that stuff and everything. And the great thing about it is there's people that are already doing it. So there's all kinds of gadgets on the internet. There's websites and stuff where you can get gadgets and everything. And it's, so you can, find some cool stuff. But sometimes, just sometimes, there's sometimes where you want, and it doesn't have to be fancy. You might just want your gadget to print out a little report for you. Or you might want your gadget to be able to draw a series of circles on your screen, whatever the case may be. It could be complex or it could be simple. When we go to look at this, I don't want you to get overwhelmed or anything or like, oh, that's too much, because I want to actually show you. I made a gadget yesterday. I built a gadget from scratch yesterday, a functioning, working gadget. We'll take a look at it. And I just want to show you kind of the process and the conversation and things that I had with myself and with ChatGPT, my artificial intelligence helper. I want you to see it's literally just like sitting there talking with someone and just kind of like, working out ideas and everything. So I want to kind of take you through the process. Now, if you recall, I don't know if y'all remember having this conversation, but I talked to you, gosh, it was months and months back. But I mentioned to you something about conversational CAM, right? Conversational CAM is a method of tool pathing or creating tool paths that doesn't require you to draw designs or create models or have any kind of anything like that. It's just it's a way of answering questions like, hey, starting from where, how long does the line need to be? 5 inches. What router bit are you using to cut this line? How deep does the cut need to be, right? So it's like a little questionnaire. You fill in the blanks and it creates the toolpath and makes that cut. Now, conversational CAM is used every day in most manufacturing environments where the operator is at the machine and they have a terminal. They have a terminal, at their CNC, and they're punching in and they're running an operation. Their CNC may be cutting out, tiles, whatever the case may be, or parts. and they're filling in the blanks. We're going to be using this V bit, and they're picking the bit, and they're saying, start here, make this many holes and everything, and they're filling in, and it's right there at the floor. And the reason why conversational CAM is used that way and everything is because it's faster for production, where they're filling in the blanks instead of having somebody in the office. Hey, guy, I need you to make a design for me. I need you to draw up the plans and create the toolpaths and then send me the file. And then I get the file out there, and all of a sudden something's not right. I got to send it back to the design guy in the office and say, hey, can you fix this and all? And then production is kind of at a standstill until that gets done. And they just can't have it. Fill in the blank. Hey, I want to surface my face. My area is 12 by 15. My bit is 1 inch in diameter. I want to mill off 20 thousandths of an inch, go, right? And it does it, kind of thing, right? And so I always talk to Vectric about, I said, we really should create a conversational CAM program for Vectric. And the guys, we were in Georgia IWF, and the developers in Vectric and all, they sat there and they said, I've never heard of conversational CAM. What is it? And we had a little powwow, and I showed them conversational CAM. And they're like, wow, that's interesting. And they said, they looked at each other and said, that could just be a gadget. You could have a gadget that answers, with a little screen that pops up. You answer the questions and it does it and everything. And I said, as soon as they said, I said, exactly. I said, it's all it is. It's a gadget, 100%. And they're like, hey, we'll look into that. I said, I would love to see that in a new release. Well, they kind of dropped the ball. They never got onto it. So I thought, I'm going to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. I'm going to create a gadget, a conversational CAM gadget. But then I'm also going to create it to where I can send it to Vectric and say, hey, here's what we were having a conversation about. Take and run with it and do something with it, right? And all that fun stuff. So I want to share my screen. And first of all, hey, JR, how you doing? Ronnie, you doing okay? You been doing all right? Ronnie,
Doing good.
You been doing okay?
Oh, sorry, I was on mute.
No, that's okay. You doing okay? Good to see you. JR, you're doing okay? Doing good?
Absolutely.
All right. And Charlie, how about you? You been doing all right?
Yeah, I'm doing fine, Lanny.
Awesome. And in the chat, everybody that's watching, let me know how you're doing. I'm doing well today. Today's my birthday, so I went and got a haircut so I look like a human being again. And so Keith Kessler, thanks for the birthday wishes, Buddy Rowe. And Keith, I believe you were the one that, I think it was kind of funny. I think you said, I would have taken you to lunch today, but my back went out and left me at home or something. But sorry to hear, if your back did go out, sorry to hear that. David Heineke, good to see you and everything. So hopefully y'all are doing well. I want to jump into this, and I want this to be kind of an interesting, you may never use it. It may be something that, hey, it's cool to know, but I'll never use it, kind of thing. But hang out and as we go through this discussion, because I want you to see just kind of the flow and the conversation and everything. And I want to just show you kind of what the end result, or what the progress was and the end result. So let me share my screen, guys. We're going to go on screen share, so we'll see you in just a moment. I think you're going to be popped over to the side, but let me get my screen shared. And now I'm going to tell you something right now real quick, and I have no affiliation with OpenAI and ChatGPT and all of this stuff, right? If you have not experimented with artificial intelligence, AI, and ChatGPT yet, I honestly really encourage you to give it a shot. It is phenomenal, the things that you can do. With me, if you look over here on the left-hand side, where it says Laney on the left of my screen over here, that is my mini-me. That is a clone of me. And if I open up Laney's tab here, Laney, my GPT here, he handles all of the quotes and everything that come in across for email send outs and everything like that. It has my voice. It has my mannerisms as far as my pauses and everything when I talk and stuff. So doing voiceovers and all, which of course I'm live, so I'm not doing any voiceover right now. But I have trained this GPT to work with me to help me perform some of the tasks during the day, right? It's a really cool concept that I can actually have little helpers that, do things for me. And I shouldn't have closed that window. Bear with me. I have to go bear with me. I got to go all the way back to the beginning. Don't panic with all this stuff that you see here. I switched windows and I was right at the perfect starting point. Let me get back up to where that was. Goofy me. Make sure that there we go. All right. So here's the situation. When you're talking to a chat GPT, and now, by the way, I use chat GPT. It's a paid version, but I also use what's called Galaxy AI, Galaxy Galaxy AI, and Galaxy AI it's $15 a month, unlimited access to all the GPTs in the world, over 2,000 artificial intelligence for video making, picture editing, conversations like this, or coding, anything you could possibly think of. You have 2,000 different AIs for $15 a month. Galaxy AI, really, really good. And again, I have no affiliation with them whatsoever. But when you're talking to an AI, literally treat it like you're talking to just having a conversation. And in this conversation, I hope everybody can see the screen. If I need to zoom in, I can. But in this conversation, up here at the top, let me see if I can bring the zoom in just a little bit. One more little bump, just for fun's sake. Okay. So here, the conversation started off yesterday with, good morning, ChatGPT. I want to continue our conversation on LUA scripting for the Vectric CAD/CAM software and making gadgets that run in Vectric. Can you do some research online and learn about conversational CAM? You can also look at this URL of a website, Kipware, which is a conversational CAM software. The reason I bring this up is I want to make a very simple conversational CAM gadget for Vectric, and I need you to understand what it is so we can be more efficient coding it, right? So it's like me telling an employee, hey, do your homework, check this out, see what you think, and then, because we're going to be talking about this in a few minutes. Now, within a matter of 18 seconds, so it thought for 18 seconds, and it said, absolutely, great idea. To align what conversational CAM means before we design the gadget. Here is a crisp take on what on how it maps in Vectric, how it's useful or practical in Vectric, right? It's form-based programming. The user fills out a few fields: hole size, location, right? It already knows that you just answer some questions, and then the software generates a toolpath and full G code, no drawing or modeling needed, right? It knows now, it's done its homework. It knows that. It's popular on machine controls like Haas and Shop Mills and Torchmates and Pathpilot and things. The ready-made cycles, so they're called cycles, drilling cycles, pocketing cycles, and things like that. Typical use cases is quick one-off set tasks, prep cuts, and things like that. So it's basically giving me a little rundown of, hey, I went out and did what you said. I did my homework. Here's what I come back with. And the Kipware example, that Kipware website, it's a PC side conversational CAM where you fill in the blanks and all that. So it spits all this out, and it's kind of giving me the best way to approach making the gadget. It tells me exactly, hey, I've learned what I need to learn. Here's going to be the best approach into making the gadget in Vectric. All I need to know from you is what you want, right? And so it told me that, hey, let's start off simple with our first pass. It said, hey, we're going to break this down into scenarios. We're going to break it down into 4 scenarios, and we're going to do little testing at each scenario to make it easy to work with. And then by the end of it, we're going to have a full functional program. It says, let's start off with maybe surfacing, drilling like a single hole or even making an array of holes, pocketing, doing a circular pocket or a rectangular pocket, maybe making a slot, cutting a slot, a simple chamfer pass. So it laid out these 4. These are the 4 things that these are the 4 operations that we're going to set for our little program. And as it came down, my response was, and it says, next step, pick one, right? It tells me, pick one. I draft ChatGPT, a minimal conversational pocket and drill gadget with the LUA and the HTML. The HTML is what makes the little picture with all the questions, the user interface. It makes the window for the user interface. And it says, and we start from there, or B, you tell me what 2 operations you want to do, and then I'll code for it. I said, let's start with A and go from there. Please begin, right? And so it says, awesome, here's a clean, minimal thing, and it spits out the code, right? So all the code gets spit out. Now, at the end of this code, it says, here's how to test it real quick. Right? So let's go to the Vectric software. And in the Vectric software, I have a new gadget called Conversational Cam, and I have my finished version, but I also have my phase 1 originals. I have my phase 2 before we added the buttons to save and load things. And then I have my phase 4. 3 got skipped because there was no major change to 3, but 4 was my final documents and stuff for it added buttons for like making toolpaths and all. And so in the original, if I open up the original, it created a simple window. This window here is the HTML. It makes like a website window. Like think of it like a page of a website. The HTML, which makes this little window, and I can choose units or inches or metric, right? It will automatically output 2 layers for me. The vector layer, which will create the vectors. It'll draw the vectors on the layer. And also a preview layer. It'll draw the same vector on a preview layer that I can delete or undelete. It's just like it shows me a quick preview before I actually write a permanent one to the other layer. It says, all right, the placement. We have 2 things that we're going to do. We can do a drilling operation or a pocket cut, right? And so here, and let's move this to the side. On the placement, my origin is the bottom left corner. It's XY0 is the bottom left corner, right? And so I'm not gonna do an offset. I'm gonna stay there. An offset would be if I want to move, if I want to start like 1 inch up and 1 inch over kind of thing. Well, I don't want it. I want it. My 0, 0 is in the corner. So I'm gonna do a drilling operation, and I want to do a for the drill. The whole center, I want to put the center of my board. Now, my board is a 10 by 10, so I'm going to put the center of the hole at 5 inches and 5 inches. I want the hole diameter to be 3/8 of an inch, and I want the depth, which the depth doesn't come into play right now on a vector. It's a 2D. The depth comes into play when we're actually making the toolpath, like how deep I want the hole kind of thing. So from there, at the very bottom, there's a preview, a create, and a clear preview, just simple buttons. Preview, if I click preview, it draws the circle. Okay, so it creates that 3/8 inch circle right there at the center of my board, which is 5 and 5. Now, in the preview, it actually, there's a layer that says preview, and I can't open it while this is open, but that if I clear the preview, it just clears it, right? So preview and clear. Now, when I hit create, that makes it makes it a permanent, and it says, hey, we created this drill geometry on this layer. So I click OK. I can close out of the gadget, and you see there's two layers. There's my preview and my vector, right? So the preview still has one on there, but also my vector. Very simple. So after ChatGPT made this very simple thing, it said test it. Make a circle. Make a little pocket for the rectangle, and tell me, does it work or does it not work, right? And so after the test, I came back and I said, okay, on the how to test, I completed steps 1 through 3. So they're numbered up here. Here's how to test 1 through 3. However, and I got an error. Okay, I completed steps 1 through 3 and I got an error, and I see picture for the error. And here's the great thing with ChatGPT. When I'm in the software and I'm in the gadget, if an error were to pop up, I can come over here and open up my snipping tool, and I can come in and take a little screenshot. I can save that screenshot to my computer, and you'll see I have a folder. There was, in making this whole process, there was a total of 13 errors, very simple errors, and once I was able to show the error message to ChatGPT, it knew exactly what to do to fix it. So I'm going to show you that. So you're able to save that photo, and in ChatGPT, I said, see photo for error, and it says, hey, thanks for the screenshot. That one's on me. So it took the blame. This is ChatGPT talking. It says, I used circle arcs, which isn't in the Vectric LUA API. So it's nil, meaning zero. It's nothing. Easiest bulletproof fix is this, and then it creates the fix, right? It rewrites the whole code and says, hey, replace your old code with this. Very simple. I did not have to do any coding whatsoever. Now, again, if we would have had this class a year ago, I would have had to have been writing every single line of this code. Now, Lainey, how do you even know if you did have to write the lines of code, how would you know what is what and where to start? Well, the answer to that question falls in, let me get the right tab, here. In the manual for Vectric, it has a section for installing gadgets. And in that section, there's an area where you can download the manual. So the manual. Now, I want you to look at this manual real quick, and I want you to go, holy cow. This Vectric Gadget manual, I want you to look at the table of contents. So the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, whatever. Let's get down to it. Page 35 is the very first page. There's 35 pages of table of contents, right? So that's how much there is to learn about the language, the coding language for the Vectric software. Well, here's the thing. In ChatGPT, when I was providing, let me go back up to the beginning here real quick. In that start of our conversation up here, I said that, I believe I said it in here. Let me see here. Online, learn about it, our URL. The reason I'm bringing this up is I need you to understand the coding of it. I think, oh, it was earlier in the conversation. I had a conversation earlier. I uploaded, I added a file, and I uploaded that manual to ChatGPT. It read the manual, and it knew everything it needed to do within a matter of seconds. It's not us, right? It's non-human. It learned everything out of that manual that it needed to learn to write the LUA code for Vectric. And as it progressed and everything, as we moved forward, we're not going to read every bit of this code and everything, but as we progressed, once we were satisfied, once that error was fixed, let me go back up real quick to that error. Let me go back up here. Validation. Let's go down here. I completed that. There's error. So once it gave me the new code, it said at the end of that, it said, hey, try steps 1 through 3 again. Let me know if that fixed it. And it did. Okay. And so now it said, all right, great. Hey, that's really, you know, and it likes when I ask questions. It tells me, hey, that's a really sharp question. But so now the next step is, all right, we got this working. Why don't we add the ability to do a slot now instead of a pocket? So one step at a time. And so we did. And so the next phase, going back in here, my window increased to add in the drill, the pocket, and now a slot. So there's a place for a slot, and then same 3 buttons. Nothing's creating G-code right now or anything. And once that was all tested, the next phase came in, and this expanded, and we were able to do slots. Now I was able to add tools. We added tools in there like end mills and drill bits and things, and I was able to now save. I could save some of those settings so I don't have to keep typing them in. I could save those presets, and it creates a list of, I only had one save, but you know, it creates a list of all the presets. I could click on this and it would make them for me and all. And so as this progressed, and literally I sat there and we were having this conversation, at the very end of it all, let me get back to the ChatGPT here. All the way at the end, when everything was all said and done, you get to the very bottom here. Give me a second. Right here. At the end of it, right here, it said, hey, we're done. Here's our final wrap up. And it gave me a gadget wrap up. It gave me a README file to help people install the gadget, like if they want to install it in their Vectric. It gave me a UI, a user interface overview, what each one of the options means and what it does. It gave me some key notes, and it gave me a little checklist to make sure that I have, you know, that somebody that's installing this, if they can check off all the boxes, then the gadget will be compatible with their version of the software and things like that. And then a little roadmap for the future. So in the future, like over the next week, I'm going to be adding a chamfer countersink option using VBits, a counter bore and a spot base, a array so I can do like bolt holes or just holes, an array of holes. Tab placement, ramp and helical entry, all of these things. And then I'm going to be able to create a different UI where it looks cleaner. It's not just one, you know, it has tabs and menus like a website, you know, and each one of them is like, you know, I can do my drilling on this tab or my pocketing on this tab and things. And so now from there, it drafted a PDF with a manual with my logo and everything. And if we look at the bear with me just a moment. If we look at the manual basically has my little logo at the top, and it has like a little screenshot and then just instruction and like where its future is going to go. all that wonderful stuff. And then also a little README file and everything. It gave me kind of like a little installer if I wanted to share the gadget with someone. Now, at the end of it all, let me get to the end here. I asked, let me see, where's the question that I asked? All right, right here. I said to ChatGPT, I said, last thought from you. If I were teaching a class and using this build as an example on how to use ChatGPT to help with building LUA gadgets for Vectric, what would you say was one of the main takeaways from this build and why it was successful? Why was this build so successful with only 13 simple errors? 13 simple errors, it wasn't a nightmare at all. What was the main takeaway with the minimal issues? If I were advising the class, what would be the most important thing we would want to teach them when it comes to a successful outcome, no matter what it is? And so he said, ChatGPT says, that's a really good reflection question. If I were teaching the class, I would emphasize both technique and strategically that the reason why the build was successful with minimal issues and everything is we locked in a consistent pattern from the beginning. A few simple things. Hey, what do you want? What would you like to do? Is there an example that I can look at, to see, kind of where you're heading kind of thing? And we were able to lock that in first thing before we did anything. And then once we had a clear mapping of, the direction that we were heading and all, the lesson is establishing that rock solid communication with in our case, the code and the HTML, the little screen, the little user interface, and test each step. Don't try to do it all at once and then test at the end and then have a mountain of things of problems that you got to go back and try to fix. Do a little bit, get it right, do the next little bit, get it right, and build on it. And so start small, prove that it works, and then add one feature, test it thoroughly. Document each milestone. In my case, my documentation was I saved a copy of like what you saw, those 4 phases. I saved a copy so I could step back if I needed to for whatever reason. And then also respect the host software limitation. Now, here's the one thing. At the very end of it all, my 12.5 limitation, the 12.5 limitation, at the end of it all, it cannot create toolpaths. The toolpath operations currently for 12.5, the LUA, it's called an API, the connection that allows someone to, create toolpaths and all. The API is not available to gadgets in version 12.5 yet. So I couldn't create the toolpaths. So what we did instead is we did a workaround that if I were doing, I'm going to do a vGroove bit, the tool. The diameter is going to be a 0.25 diameter head with a 60 degree. The V-bit, I will do a slot with it. So the center of the slot will have it I'll just do it at the 5-inch and 5-inch mark again. The length of it, we'll do a 3-inch length, and the width will be the width of my router bit, which will be 1/4 inch. And the angle will be 0. I can make it go at a 45 degree at whatever angle I want, but 0 will just go straight across. Depth doesn't matter. Now, let's move this to the side. Now, you're going to see it pop up right over that circle. That circle's still there. But the cut exceeds my work area. So the reason being of that is my, give me just a moment. I forgot to have slot checked at the top. I had drill still checked. And let's preview that again. I go down here. Sorry, all these birthday messages keep popping up in the corner here. But all right, so the slot, my tool is a vGroove bit. Okay, so now, and again, my circle is right there, but this is the slot vector. And when I create the toolpath, or I go to create the toolpath, this message comes up and says, hey, the vectors are selected for you. So it selected the vector for me. Now open the toolpath tab and create the profile slot path using the chosen toolpath. When Vectric exposes toolpath APIs to the gadget, this button will be auto create, meaning the button, it will allow me to auto create the toolpath automatically without having to go into the toolpath tab. But right now, it knows, we discovered at the end of it all that APIs aren't available. And so it selects the vectors and it says, hey, go over and create the toolpath. Now, of course, the circle wouldn't be there, but you make the toolpath and everything. Well, so because of that particular situation and everything, I had ChatGPT help me write an email to send to Vectric asking, you know, hey, could you make this available for 12.5? And the email looks like, let me go back up here. Bear with me just a second. I've got to copy and paste the email into an actual email. I thought I would have that ready, but I forgot to. Right here, draft to Vectric. Now, this is important. It says, subject, feature request, enable toolpath creation for gadgets. Hello, Vectric team. We've developed a new gadget called Conversational Cam designed to make Vectric Aspire more beginner-friendly by automating common quick ops, such as drilling pockets and slots. During development, we found that Vectric creation works perfectly, but toolpath creation is blocked because toolpath APIs, example, pocket, parameter, create profile path, etc., are not exposed to the gadgets in 12.5. We'd like to request that Vectric consider exposing the toolpath creation APIs to the gadgets and why this matters. You know, create conversational cam to bridge for new CNC users, giving them a full inline blank style workflow for programming. Add value to Aspire VCarve as a teaching tool for beginners and training centers, like beginners that have training centers and stuff. Open the door for third-party productivity gadgets like what those commercial units are using, where the guy's at the floor, you know, on his tunic and his path pilot and all. It adds a level of advancement that Vectric doesn't have right at this moment. So requested APIs on this particular one is the drilling toolpath, the pocketing, and the profile, right? Later down the road would be the chamfer and all of them eventually. But with these enabled, we can generate complete workflows inside the gadget, letting Aspire users, and of course this could be for VCarve Pro or desktop as well. It's naming Aspire because that's the program we're working in here. But from, you know, conversational input and to allow, or this would make Aspire more approachable to hobbyists while giving the power of users a way to automate repetitive tool generations and things, you know, toolpath generations. Thank you for your consideration, blah, 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 right? And so now I can copy and paste that into an email, send it off to the guys, and I can send it off to the guys with a copy of the gadget, the file folder for the gadget, so they can preview it and, you know, all that stuff. And the guys they thought it was an interesting idea at IWF, and they're the ones that said, oh, this could be a gadget. Well, now I'm basically bringing to their attention that toolpaths aren't open to gadgets in 12.5. They are open to gadgets in earlier versions. So, hey, turn that switch on, you know, and hopefully that'll happen, you know, very quickly kind of thing. And so all of this was done. It took me a period of going back and forth because I'm not always sitting at my desk and all, but it was half a day. I started off in the morning having the conversation. It wrote the code. We did a couple tests. I had some things I had to do in the shop and everything. I came back and continued the conversation and all. And by the end of the evening, we had completed it, right? And here's the final takeaway on this information and all. And bear with me. Let me get back to the part where I was asking it about the class. And ChatGPT says, if I were sitting in your class, I'd walk away thinking, if I get the LUA HTML communication right, and I work things step by step, I can build any Vectric gadget, right? And let's look at a couple of gadgets, a couple of cool sample gadgets so you can understand what gadgets can do. So here in the gadget library, I'm going to go down here and I'll grab sample. Let's go down to a general sample and let's look at display job dimensions, right? So now this window right here basically displays my job dimensions. The job name, which is in this case conversational gadget test, how big the job is, 10 by 10, the area, you know, where my 00 is bottom left corner, BLC. Top right corner is 10 by 10, you know, right? That's the size of it. The material, origin, and it spells it out. Now, before in the sample, the original sample, it didn't look like this. It was only a few little lines. I had ChatGPT I gave it this sample copy. I literally pasted the copy of the language of this language right here. It looks like this. This is the code for the job dimensions, right? But I called it the enhanced project dimensions, right? And I gave them the original code, ChatGPT, and I said, hey, modernize this for 12.5, rewrite it, and clean it up. And so ChatGPT, it already looked at it and said, oh, hey, we need to fix this for 12.5, this and this, because it was original. This original was like 2018, 2019 version. And so there's a lot of stuff out of date. So ChatGPT updated. It's a very short code. So this is literally, it's only 90 lines of code. And that little bit of code is what creates this little window, creating a job summary. Now, if we look at gadgets in here, drawing, Aspire, right? We have, there's a lot of cool samples and things and all, but creating toolpaths was an option, you know, in earlier versions. The API is open to them, just 12.5 because it's new. So they haven't opened it up. So that's what the request letter is going to be. But the cool thing about this is in the gadgets, let me go to here. Check this out. A little Celtic weave gadget, right? This is one of the gadgets in Vectric. And in the Celtic weave gadget, I can say that I want the knot grid. I'll do 5 columns and 8 rows. And the grid size will do a 1/2 inch, update the grid, right? So it creates that little update of what it would look like. And then over here, I have different cross sections. Like I can have it where it's like just a flat square, this and that. And I can choose the cross section. I like the fancy one, so I'll choose that as the cross section. And then if I move this out of the way, here. That'll be my cross section. Update the grid and come down here and hit apply, and it creates that vector, right? And if we zoom in to that vector, let's close the gadget here. There's the cross section. All I have to do, let me get rid of my little circle and groove. But all I have to do is select the vector now, go over to the single rail sweep tool. That's my cross rails. Select the profile and say I want to do a weave. In this case, I'm going to do 50% under, 125% over kind of a weave, and click apply. And if we go look at the 3D view, now it's really thick. I don't want the height. I want to unscale that to a normal height there. And you see how it's all broken up and it looks all nasty and all? Well, let's fix that. I got to turn up my resolution. I'll just turn it up to extremely high. And then I'm going to size this up. Okay, so a little bit cleaner there. But so now in that gadget, not gadget, but the tool, I can create that weave. And all I had to do was use the gadget to make that weave. So the Celtic Weave gadget, I just had to answer 3 questions and to create the grid, choose what cross section, and it made it, right? It made the vectors and all. And that's what a gadget does. Another gadget is a very popular one, the keyhole gadget. And in the keyhole, for the keyhole gadget to work, I have to draw a circle where I want the keyhole to start, and then the gadget will open, right? And I can choose what type of keyhole I want. And you can make these types of gadgets. If there was a task, it could be a task where it creates a report for you for your tool pass, your bit you're using, runtime, whatever. Or it could be a task where it actually draws a vector, it does this, it makes a column, whatever it is, right? So this one makes keyholes. So if I choose that I want to go from right to left or left to right, the depth of my slot is going to be 1/4 inch. My entry hole is 1/2 inch. My slot diameter is 1/4 inch based on the head of my neck of my bit is 3/16 actually. Oops, too many decimal points. And when I come over here, I got to choose a dummy bit from my keyhole bit from my tool library. And when I click OK, it creates the keyhole, right? So that's a gadget. It's one thing that does something specific, or it could do multiple things specifically, right? Whatever you want it to be. And now, if you can imagine it, you could work with AI, ChatGPT in this case, or whatever, and you could just talk to it. Hey, I would like to do this, or can I do this, or can we figure out how to do this, and work it out and take it one step at a time, but learn, take your time. But sometimes, like right now, if someone said to me, Lainey, you've got to code all this, right? I used to, now in my day, I started out as a coder. I built websites for a living. Coding. Several years ago. I'm 51 now. I was 18, 19 and everything. And so I know different coding languages, JavaScript, C++, C++, HTML coding for website pages and all. But LUA is not my language, is not one of the languages I know, right? So I would have to learn this language. What's another popular one? Not JavaScript. Python. It's great with art. What's that?
Python.
Python, yes. Python is now Planet CNC. Python coding is Planet CNC and Python coding go hand in hand for making things like buttons and stuff in the Planet CNC software, our controller software. So Python is one of the things that I know, but I don't know Python coding, but I can code because of ChatGPT helping me, right? So that kind of cool stuff. But if I had to read, now this manual is a total of 200 and something pages altogether. And what it does is it tells you here's what you do, here's what you type in, but this is what it'll do. Like copy a selected vector and a component to the opposite side, basically flipping horizontal, right? It takes a vector, it copies it and flips it to the other side, right? And the opposite side. So it's a two-sided project kind of thing. So in order for me to do that, I would have to type this code into my little script, which is this function right here. And then I would have to say, I'd have to type in what I want it to do, right? And I would have to create line by line all of this stuff. If you told me today that I had to do that in order to make a gadget, you would probably be like, yeah, that's not ever going to happen. I don't think I'll ever see myself doing that. But if you told me that, hey, you think of it, you tell ChatGPT what you'd like to make, it knows how to write the language. It knows how to code for Vectric because you gave it the manual. You just tell it what you want it to do, and it'll figure it out, and then you test it. You tell it how the test turned out, and it'll fix whatever needs to be fixed. And now the world is your oyster. If there's something you wanted to create, if there was like a specific task that I wanted to create in the Vectric software that's repetitive, that I do all the time, and I want to be able to hit my gadget and do it, or whatever, it's not as hard as it used to be. It's very easy now. And the reality of it is the Vectric software gives you these examples, these samples. And let's say there was something in here in the samples that you liked. Hey, I like that, but I wish it did this, or I wish it had that. You can come into that sample, and I'll just show you in the folder. If we go back into the gadgets, I can go into the samples. I can open up, let's say, the drawing sample, center geometry. If I open this, and by the way, Notepad++, it's free, Notepad++. Everybody should have that downloaded on their computer because it creates and it organizes, like I'm open, this is the file that I just opened, the gadget file. It lays it out, the code, it lays it out in the proper orientation for the language it's written in and everything, and all the color coding and everything and all that stuff. And it makes it, if you tried to do it in Notepad or Dreamweaver or something, old school, Dreamweaver would be fine, but Notepad wouldn't. Notepad++ is designed for this. It's a very low-key window for editing. But now I can take this, okay? This gadget is, it's an entire optional add-on. Let's see. The origin of this software must not be misrepresented, so you can't say it's your own. You can edit it. You can, but you got to give them credit, right? You got to give credit where credit is due. Up at the top, you got to give credit. But where does it say here? The past point is center point will be the center of a document. Okay. So let me find out what this gadget even does. Let's go into Vectric because I don't even know what that gadget does. So let's come here. Let's go to that gadget, which was under drawing, center geometry. Okay. So it creates this star and it puts it in the center. That's all it does. So it's a sample. It's not like that's its function, but it creates this star and it puts it at the center of the board. Right? Okay. So I could come in here and I could take this code and I could go over to ChatGPT and I'm going to say, I literally talk to him like he's human. So good evening, Chat GPT. I have a sample I need you to look at. Here is a LUA script. Please analyze it and see what needs to be updated for 12.5. Let me put Vectric 12.5. And when you're putting code in, there's a little key at the top of the keyboard under the escape button. It's 1, 2, 3. And then I'll put, there's 6 of them. There's 3 at the beginning of the code, 3 at the end, but I put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going to put my mouse in between the first 3 and I'm going to hit paste. And it's going to paste that code in between those 3 dots at the beginning, 3 dots at the end. And when I hit upload here, Chat GPT is going to take a few seconds and think. And it's suggesting code revisions for Vectric, right? So it's going to refining the code for Vectric. Keep going, Chat GPT. Thought for 19 seconds. Great sample, thanks. I walked through it line by line and fixed what will break or is brittle in Vectric 12.5. The big issues, and it'll tell me what the issues were, and then it'll give me the fixed code, right? So all I have to do is upload the new code to that folder in the Vectric folder, and it's done, right? Kind of thing. So I'm going to let that write the code for a second, but I want to address back to what Ronnie says here in the chat. Ronnie says, it comes down to defining the business needs, then flushing out functional requirements using an iterative process in a work state, right? So I want to address that because while ChatGPT is let me come back here. While ChatGPT is thinking, now your browser, depending on, your browser's kind of like, I didn't refresh my browser before class. So there's a lot of cache, I guess you would call it, and everything right now. So every once in a while, it'll pop up and say it's non-responsive. Do you want to wait or close page? Just click wait. Let ChatGPT do its thing and everything. It's just, it's writing the code. So just click wait and let it finish. But while that is happening, I'm going to come back into ChatGPT in a different tab. And I'm going to go back into the LUA creation here because I want to scroll back up. Up to when I was playing around with that dimensions gadget and everything. Let me go back up higher. Let me see here. That's still conversational cam. I played around with the finger joint gadget. I updated my finger joint gadget from a 2000 from V8 to V12. But let me see here. Bear with me just a second because it falls in line with what Ronnie was saying. Finger joints. Okay, this is it. So let me get to the end of this, and I want to show you what ChatGPT gave me. That I'm going to probably put in a folder and share with all of you. I think that would be the smartest thing for me to do because right here it is at the very end of this one. Okay. Glad it worked. Updated Lua. And then it finished it off right here. Perfect. Now, I asked ChatGPT, I said, hey, here was the question. Okay, let's pretend that we don't have a reference code to work from, that sample code, the finger joints or this or that. We don't have to start from, so we have to start from scratch. If I want to create a gadget, what is the best way for me to communicate it to you to get exactly what I want that will function properly in Vectric? What would be the best way to describe to you what I would like the gadget to do? And ChatGPT says, hey, I love this question. The fastest way to get a Vectric gadget from idea to working code with minimal back and forth is, here's how to brief me. Okay, give me these items. Context, product and version. What version are you in? What units are you working in? What's your typical job size? What's the scope of the gadget? One sentence goal. Hey, draw X based on Y and create toolpath Z, right? This is what I want it to do. Exactly, get exactly what you want figured out. What would you like the UI to look like? Is there any fields? Like, I want it to have an X and Y field for the origin, or I want it to have this. And so it told me exactly what I want to do. And so then it said, hey, better yet, here's a small template that you can paste and fill out. That, it's like a little questionnaire. What's my goal in 2 sentences? What, vectors only or vectors and toolpaths, placement, this and that. So fill in the blanks and we'll get started from there, right? And it says, if you do this, what I'll return is a working gadget with the HTML and the Lua file, buttons that are wired properly, a clear validation and friendly messages, the folder structure, and all that. If we can work together and you tell me, if you can communicate to me what I want or what you want, then I'll make it for you, right? That's the relationship with ChatGPT, right? So I'm going to probably save this along with this little cheat sheet and then the information at the very end of this in a folder that might be useful when you're creating gadgets and stuff. But you just got to kind of lay it out. Are there any rules? Are there anything? Now, the one thing that you do want to do is the Lua manual. That Lua manual, you absolutely want to upload that to ChatGPT. You want to upload that file and you want to say, hey, this is the Lua language for Vectric that we're working with. Learn it. Now, unfortunately, just because I uploaded it to ChatGPT here, it's not going to, it might keep that in memory across the board. It might keep that in memory across the board, but, it's good to have your chat window, your conversation, your, give it the files that it needs, let it do its homework, tell it to go search something, and then learn it. But that manual, you download that from Vectric, and you can upload it right to the PDF. You just upload the PDF right to whatever AI you use. Now let's go back really quickly over here in the window, and on this update for that little gadget, right? It said the target layer didn't exist, so it created it for me, and here's a little drop-in code, right? Drop-in means it rewrote the entire code, so I'm going to copy this code. I'm going to go back to my folder, not there, sorry, back to my file right here, and I'm going to, let me see what he put at the beginning of the code here. Lua script updated for Vectric compatibility. Perfect. All right, so I'm going to go back into here. I'm going to select this entire code, Control A, and hit delete. I'm going to paste the new code and hit save. Done. Now I can go back into Vectric. I don't have to restart Vectric or anything. And I should be able to go right back into that code, and it's still going to do the same thing, right? All it did is clean it up for Vectric. I didn't tell it to do anything different. I didn't tell it, hey, instead of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Is that 11? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Instead of the 10-pointed star, let's see if ChatGPT would do that for me. If I said instead of the 10-pointed star that it creates, can we create a rectangle? I'll just do a rectangle in the center of the work area. So I'm asking that question, right? We're asking, hey, can this be done? Now, based on the code that it just wrote and all, it's going to think for a minute, and it's going to either say, yes, you can do that, or no, you can't. Now, it's going to, for this one, took just a few seconds, and it's going to say absolutely, right? Let's see if I'm right. See if I know my Chat GPT. Absolutely. We can sure do that. And it's going to rewrite the code. I got to give it a second. Again, I should have refreshed my browser. But it's going to rewrite the code. So instead of drawing the star, it's going to draw the rectangle, right? So things like that. We can test. We can ask it questions. Hey, can we try this? Can we do this? Literally, you're having a conversation. You're not a robot. Talk to it. Now, I have voice turned on when I'm tired of typing. I have a little microphone voice, and I turn my speakers up, and I have ChatGPT has a voice too. I can pick a woman's voice, a man's voice, whatever, hundreds of voices, but I have a conversation with it. I'm literally sitting back in my chair and saying, okay, hey, let's try this, and let's do this, and we talk back and forth, and it does all the work. I'm just telling it what I'd like. I'm the boss, right? I'm telling it what I'd like to, try to happen and things like that. I love it. Now, while that is happening in the background, we'll let that continue to happen in the background. The Ronnie, I wanted to go back to what Ronnie was saying in that little cheat sheet and everything. Is that kind of what you were referring to when you said that, Ronnie, when it comes down to defining the business needs and kind of fleshing out the functional requirements, like basically figuring out what you want? Is that the point you were trying to
I looked at
come across?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny talking about this because I spent 37 years developing software for the airline industry. And so initially, this is kind of a cool concept because you would get with your customer and at a high level, you're defining the scope, right?
Yes.
Which is, I need a star, at a 35,000 foot level. I just need a star with 10 points on it.
Right.
Now you transfer this over to more of the functional people. And they're like, yeah, not only do I need a star with 10 points, but I also need it to be flexible where I can on the fly make it 6 points, 5 points, 3 points. And you start flushing out what the functional requirements need to look like. Then you can step into more of an iterative, go out, do the 10, test that out. You're kind of doing the, the vanilla flavor in the beginning, but you're keeping all these other requirements in mind. It's kind of a cool process that seeing how this is evolving.
Absolutely. Now, with that in mind, I want to take a second and we'll build a small gadget from scratch that will make a star, and it will allow me to choose how many points and everything. Right. And just to show you that process and everything, we'll make a very small, very simple one. But really quickly, JR is, I'm going to pop it up on the screen, JR, so hopefully it's nothing bad. Okay, you have ChatGPT analyze the LUA selection. What would happen if you had ChatGPT analyze the full Vectric user guide? For sure, you can do that. And yes, ChatGPT is the perfect yes man. And I will share with you on that note. And so here's a clean copy really quickly. We'll come back to this, but really quickly, JR, I'm going to share with you. Let me see if I can get all the way up here at the very top of my page. In my finger gadgets, right? This finger gadget, finger joint gadget, I was having it update, and it was running into errors, just like I had 12 errors on this one code. Well, this was before I knew how to kind of add. This was the very first one I tested, right? I didn't know exactly how to have that conversation. That's why I said, hey, tell me, what to say or how to say it and all that. And as it was writing the codes, and just like I do with all of my chat GPTs and everything, let me get down to it. Right. Wait, where'd you go? Right. Come on up. One more. Give me just a second. This is it's kind of funny too, but let's add the bullet points. Yay, it worked. I was excited about that because we were running into so many issues. Bear with me 1 second. All right, right here. So when ChatGPT screws up, I tell it screws up, right? I have a conversation. I'm saying, I say, this is getting tiresome. Unfortunately, I feel that we took a wrong turn somewhere. So let's start over. Here's the LUA script that works. Let's build from there, right? Because if I go back up a previous conversation, my previous conversation in the code, it said, we are going in circles. Here are 2 new errors. Truthfully, are you not able to create this LUA gadget correctly without these errors? Should we give up? I am going to teach a class on LUA using ChatGPT to help with the scripting, but you're failing with error after error. This was before my conversation. I do not want to teach the students how ChatGPT can help with LUA scripts when the fact is you have failed to successfully create this script without errors. And I gave you a working script to start from. Your changes introduced error after error. And ChatGPT says, you're right. We're fighting with the HTML host. Let's set aside the URL and and so it found its own solution. It went back. I'm a little bit of a hard ass when I'm not doing the work, but it's like, hey, get with the program, dude. You're a computer. You should not be making this many errors. And as it we started off with errors from the get-go. We both introduced it right in the beginning with the code, the finger joint code and everything, and I wanted to do something right out of the gate that I shouldn't have asked for. And we literally compounded it, and we were chasing error after error. There was no fixing it. And so, but at the end, I got onto ChatGPT's butt. He says, hey, you're right. And as we went through, he rewrote the code and everything, right? And I said, and ChatGPT says, thanks for sticking with it, right? The dialogue is rendering, your fields are binding. That means the HTML is parsing correctly, and we made up, right? That kind of thing. But it's like, ChatGPT's like, hey, thanks for not giving up on me, it literally talks to you like you're having a conversation. It literally talks to you like, hey, man, I'm like a person, like I'm making a mistake, even though it's not a person. You got to make sure you don't cross that line. It's not a human being. But anyhow, but I don't pull punches with it. I say, hey, if you're screwing up, you're screwing up. Or if it's me, it's me. One of the two. You're supposed to be the intelligent one. I'm just the guy who wants this to happen, right? And things like you. So the whole point of all that is to literally have a conversation with it. And if you got to put it straight, and everything. Now, going back to at the very end here, it rewrote this to make a square. And I want to go back to Ronnie's thing about the points and stuff. But let's take this new code. So copy code, very simple. I've already got the code open here in, I just have to do Control-A to copy it, hit the delete key, can paste or Control-V, and then hit save, right? I don't have to do anything. It's already, it knows what folder to put it into and everything because I opened it from that folder. So I love Notepad++. Now, if I go back to the Vectric software, let's get rid of this stuff. And let's see if it, in fact, did change it to where it creates a square. So it actually created the square, and it created a layer for the square with the size. So it did that, right? It took the code. I said, hey, instead of the star, let's do this. It did that, and it added another feature to where it creates its layer. So it puts the vector on a layer for you, its own layer. I didn't ask it to do that. It just knows what's good. You know, it's like, hey, let's do this and let's clean it up. Now, we're going to start from scratch, right? I'm going to tell, first of all, I'm going to hit refresh real quick, and I'm going to close these other windows. Let me refresh this window. I'm going to tell ChatGPT, hey, that worked great. Let's step it up a notch. I want a UI window where I can specify the size, and in this case, we can go back to the star or the rectangle, but let's do the rectangle. The size of the rectangle being created. Can you create the UI HTML code to wired means communicate, wired to the LUA script you just edited. Now, and of course my typo and all that, but I'm saying, hey, that worked. Now, I want a window to pop up that I can put in the specific size and click a button, and it's going to create the rectangle at that size. It could have been the stars and the points and all that. We could do that as well. Let's see what it, for this simple request, let's see what it tells me. So it's going to think for a second, and I hope this isn't boring, you guys and girls. You know, hang with me. This is just something to kind of, you know, I know it's not for everyone, for sure. And Doug Fushi, thanks for the happy birthday, buddy. Now, let me see here. Ronnie, earlier you said, do you think Vectric will develop an API? If so, will it be for Desktop Pro or and all? So just so you know, the toolpath APIs and all that stuff will be are available for older versions. You know, it's just the new 12.5. They haven't released that to gadgets yet. And so hopefully I'll write that letter to them and it'll kind of put a bug in their ear they'll get that done. And then, but I'm hoping through all of this, one or two things is going to happen. Either I'm going to take that conversational cam gadget further and make a comprehensive little package that does all kinds of cool little features quick and easy. Or Vectric is going to do that and make that, you know, like one of their gadgets and all. They at IWF Atlanta, when they were talking and all, they were like, yeah, I mean, we could do that in a gadget and that would be, you know, pretty slick and everything. And they were on board, but you know, of course they got back to London and it went by the wayside. It never progressed from there. And so that's what this letter, this email is going to basically be, say, hey, you know, because I thought last night, I thought, you know what, if I'm going to be doing this, I'm going to build a sample, might as well build a sample on the conversational cam that I've been wanting to, you know, so I kind of killed two birds with one stone. Might be good to ask AI to test and or refactor the code, or is it already doing that as a best practice currency? It's already testing for the most part based on what it has learned from our past conversations and what it can be doing. This is it's learning, but if it does introduce errors and you show it the error code or error message or whatever, it'll say, you know what, hey, that's right, that's on me because I tried it this way and it actually needs to be this way, and it'll correct itself and everything.
That's like a key point too, though, Laney, is to be sure and thoroughly test out your gadget.
Always test
it. Do what was written.
100%. Always test your gadget, and as you're building, you test it as you go before you next to the, you know, if I, like, for instance, we did drill and pocket. That was the two we started off with. And we made sure that it drilled holes, that it made the hole, that it did this, it did that, you know, it did the pocket cut, you know, and everything. And then once we knew that those two worked successfully, all the buttons worked, all the entries worked, everything laid out where it's supposed, then we went on to add the slot. Then we went on to this and, you know, that. Now, just real quick, coming back up here, it said, awesome, here's a clean working UI and LUA, UI user interface and LUA pair that lets you enter the rectangle size and create it centered in the job. It follows the exact wiring pattern we used earlier. So the same, you know, that we've used earlier and all. And I'll give you guys examples and everything in the file that you can load to your ChatGPT, so it knows, you know, it has it just has more information, right? And all it says, it follows the same exact wiring pattern, the HTML loaded via the URL button and all in the Lua. So I'm going to copy this. This is the Lua script. I'm going to copy this code and I'm going to go in. I'm going to come right back to my script here, my code, and I'm going to Control-A to select, hit delete, get rid of all the old code and paste the new. Save, and then I'm going to go back. Now, as I scroll down, it also created the code for the user interface. So I need to copy that code, and it tells me as we come down here, save both files in your gadget folder, right? Save them in the same gadget folder, that, you know, centered rectangle, and then launch it in Vectric, right? So let me go back to my here. Now this one is going to be called centered rectangle.htm. That's going to be the file name for this code. So here I'm going to, in my Notepad++, I'm going to go File, New. I'm going to paste the code, and I'm going to save it, File, Save As. I'm going to save it in my folder here as any type, all type, and it's going to be called centered rectangle.htm, and centered and rectangle is capitalized. So centered, oops, let's try that around. Centered rectangle .htm. All right, I'm going to hit save. Now, as soon as I put the .htm, you see how the colors changed? It knows it's an HTML code, so it lays it out just like that. So now I should be able to go right back over to Vectric. I shouldn't have to relaunch Vectric. I shouldn't have to, but we'll find out. No, I don't have to relaunch it. So here's the little user interface. All right, let me move it over to the side here. All right, so we're working in inches, and I want to do a, let's go 2 inches by 5 inches. And it's going to put it centered. It's going to put it centered no matter what, because that's what this script does. It centers it, right? It's going to create a layer called the rectangle preview and another layer called rectangle vector. So the preview, when I create the preview, it's going to create that preview there. And I can clear the preview if I want to. Oh, clear preview is not working. I'll have to let it know that it's not working. But then I'm going to hit create, and the create button's not working either. So preview worked, but the create and clear did not. So all I have to do is, and let me make sure that, let me make sure that just wasn't a glitch on my end. 4 to preview, create, clear. Okay, so the clear and the create are not working. That's fine. That's what testing is for. I come back to GPT and I say, the UI looks good. The preview button works fine, but the clear preview and create buttons do not work. Just tell it like it is, you know? And so it's going to come back, and I like how it tells me it's thinking longer for a better answer. It's going to debug the button functionality. It's going to troubleshoot the LUA handler. And it's going to investigate why the buttons aren't working. And then it's going to consider possible fixes, potential fixes. All right, so once it goes through all its little checks and balances and everything, it's going to give me options. And it takes it a second. The new chat, now I'm going to tell you, ChatGPT 4 and 3 and everything were super fast. ChatGPT 5, it has a little bit of a pause to it, like these, you know, where it starts off with it's like it's a stutter. It's like the, and then, you know, it ties itself up. 4 and 3 and all were fast. They didn't, you know, but 5 is great, but it's got a little bit of a, I think it's new, so it's got a little bit of bugs to be worked out. All right. So thanks for the quick results. Since the preview works, but clear buttons and create don't, that is almost certainly a tiny little wiring quirk, not geometry. In Vectric, the HTML gadget, the button, right, the mapping, can be touchy, right? It's saying, hey, it can be touchy, you know, making the buttons work with the, with the code and all. So here's what we're going to do. It's going to say below is a drop-in, meaning it rewrote the code for me. Sometimes it'll rewrite the entire code, a drop-in, and sometimes it'll rewrite a snippet of the code. It's a paste saying, hey, replace this part of your code with this new part, right? Instead of the whole thing, find this section, take it out, put this new one in. I always tell ChatGPT when it does that, when it starts doing the little copy and paste sections, I always stop it and say, hey, I do not want to introduce human error into our process. And sometimes with the copy and paste, it can, you know, I could paste and copy it in the wrong area. Can you please just rewrite the code for me? It'll say, yes, absolutely. And it'll rewrite the entire code with the correction already made, right? So I don't have, sometimes I copy and paste. Sometimes I want it to write the whole code because I don't want to make any mistakes. I don't want to introduce mistakes into it. All right, so here's a new code for the LUA. Replace these 4 functions with the version below. Okay, so it's one of those things where it's a drop-in update. So the clear layer by name. All right, so what that's telling me is saying, hey, in your Lua code, find the clear layer by name right here and replace this. Let me see how far down it goes. All the way down to create button. So let me go back up here. Clear layer by name, all of that, all the way down to it should be the last one at the bottom, create button. All of that. Let me make sure. And paste. Save. Now we should be able to go back into, let me make sure there was no other instructions for me. It says that should fix that. If it doesn't, okay. So it'll try something different if it doesn't. So let's go back. Now, on the clear and create, the window that's open, that's the old window. So I got to close it. Let me get rid of this. And reopen the gadget. Always got to restart the gadget. Oops. So that's that copy and paste. It introduced an error. So let me just have ChatGPT really quickly rewrite the whole thing. That introduced an error. No, I'm going to say it this way. Please rewrite the entire Lua script for me. Just simple. You don't have to overthink it. Just talk to, hey, please rewrite the entire Lua script for me. And it'll do that. All right. So don't want it to get too boring or too long drawn out. We'll let this finish up. That'll kind of be the end of it. But in the meantime, let me see here. JR says, this is straight up programming corn. My brain. There you go. Let's see here. JR, understand that if you're not sure, but you uploaded all of this information to ChatGPT and you can't go get back to work on it for a month or so, does it save the information? That's a great question. Yes. And in your account, it does save that information. And on the left-hand side, you can, if you look at down here, these are my conversations. These are all the things that I've done with ChatGPT, right? And so I can come back. It's been probably. Let me hit the wait button here. Let's see, foam cutter inquiry, when I was talking about foam cutters and all, that was a few months ago. I could go back and continue that conversation with it. It will create it in memory. Now, that being said, one of the things that I do is, let me see here. I don't think it'll let me scroll up while it's thinking. Let that finish. I'll open a new window. And in my past conversations, let's see here. What would be a good... okay. So here, one of the things that I do, let me get back up here. Right here. Ivy is the name. That's her name. She's actually a super helper. But I need you to recap all of the following information so we can pick up where we left off. Now, I'll normally word it. Let me see if I word it. I'll normally word it and call it a recall memory. I will say, hey, create a recall memory report on everything that we discussed so that it could be, if need be, it could be copied and pasted back to you, or you could go back and review it so we can pick up where we left off. And it will create basically a summary of everything that was discussed, and it'll lay it out. And then I can refer back to it if I need to. So just like on the ChatGPT that we're working on now, if I scroll up just a little bit to the very end of my conversation with it last night, the very last thing is, it was before the teaching, right here. Can you please create a full memory recall report in the event anything is lost? This report will serve as a complete detail of everything we created so we can pick up where we left off. Got it. Here's a full memory recall report, ChatGPT says. And it lays out everything on it lays it out on the objective that we tried, our timeline and key milestones that we went through, the deliverables, known limits, future enhancements, everything. It created that report. And then it says, hey, would you also like me to generate a PDF report? I generally do. This one I didn't, but I generally do. And that way I can just upload it back to GPT if I need to and say, hey, review this report and then let's start where we left off. That kind of thing. So that's a good practice and all for that. But now let's go back down to the bottom here where I asked GPT just now to rewrite the entire script for me because it introduced that error. And I said, please rewrite the script for me. So I'm going to hit copy. I'm going to come back over here and Control A. Everybody's wishing me happy birthdays. Control A, delete. Control V to paste and hit save. Now I should be able to go back over here and open that up and then not have the error. See, when I pasted, I didn't paste it correctly. I didn't paste it in the right place, so it introduced an error. So I said, hey, rewrite the code for me. It has no problem rewriting the code, right? I always like that more so than the copy and paste. Also, yes, Ronnie, you can do a Control F for quicker search options. We should be able to do a Control F. You're talking about in GPT? I believe so. Let me real quick see if this works. So the clear and the create have not, did not correct. Give me just a second. This was supposed to be a short, simple thing. Let me go back up here to the top and guaranteed this, double check. Please rewrite the code. Here's a drop in. Okay. The two buttons still do not work. Preview works. Clear preview and create do not. Okay, and you just have that conversation with them and you work it out, and then you get it solved, and then you move on. Now let's look at what Ronnie was asking about Control F in ChatGPT, because I know in my code I can do Control F and find when it tells me to copy and paste to certain areas, I can do Control F to find those areas. But let's go to GPT and see if it let's see if it if Control F is an option. Let's see what is up here. So archive, report, and delete. Control F. If I say spindle, there are 12. Yes, you see that, Ronnie?
Cool.
Yep. So, and I can go through that conversation and find the where we had that, the word spindle or whatever in there, right? So yes, Control F does work in the GPT.
Cool.
So that's a great question, by the way, also, but that's a great that's a great feature, in the GPT to go back through those like when we're, I'm talking about going back through the conversation, and all I had to do, knowing, with that is, let me come out of here. This window, I need to really close the conversation and reopen it. This one is struggling for some odd reason. But I could have, when we were doing, with that being said, I could have done the Control F, and I could have come up here and said memory recall, and it would have brought me right to that in the conversation, where instead of me having to scroll up through all of this and all that. So yeah. Also, can you use ChatGPT to test within the UI? Give me explain that one, Ronnie.
So let's say after you've written the code in Lua, you go and pull up the gadget, and you're testing the obvious, right? The quick hit, like the various push button options. But could you use ChatGPT within Aspire or Pro desktop?
No.
Within the
it cannot access the programs.
Okay.
The super bots that are available out there, the super bots, they can access certain things, like your Google Drive or a file or a folder, or your Facebook account, and they could post for your Facebook, they could post for your TikToks, all just like you just let them run wild, and they do whatever they post, whatever they post, based on your calendar. But they can't access a program.
Okay.
It doesn't have that ability. And I will, with that being said, let me go back down here to the end. Really quickly, the two buttons still do not work. Thanks for that. It's being strict. So it gave me the entire new code again. So we'll hit copy code. Let's come back over here to this and Control A, delete, Control V, and save. Rinse and repeat routine. It says at the end here why this should fix it. All right, so we'll see. And then it says if the buttons still don't fire, double check the HTML that it has the class Lua button and the type button in there. So it shows me the code here where the buttons are. I'm going to copy that, because this is the button ID where it creates the three buttons. If I go back into my code on that HTML, where it goes down to the bottom where the buttons are, it has the Lua type buttons and everything, but it doesn't have the, let me see what the language looks like. the type button, right, and the class LUA button. Make sure that there aren't duplicates on that and everything. And so if it does, it's saying if it doesn't work, to replace it with this code. I'm actually going to test it first, and then if it doesn't work, I'm going to replace that code, and then we should be good. So let's try this. Okay, they still don't work. So now I'm going to go into here, and I'm going to take this button class. I think it gave me the whole divider. Let me see here. It gave me the whole, so within the divider, these three. Paste, save, close out of this and restart it. Now, let's do a different size. Let's go 6 by 6. There we go. It created the rectangle on the layer, and it cleared it. So that's the clear, and then there's the create. So it fixed it. So that's it. Now it's functioning properly, and it was because the buttons weren't laid out in the HTML. So it kind of had, it said, hey, if this doesn't work, double check that your code in your HTML has this. And that's what it was. It didn't have that.
So
but
it's
now,
interesting too how it changed the colors on the buttons.
yes, yeah. So yeah, it changed the colors to plain, but we can go in and we can add color options and things like that. Now, here's how I want to end this. I want to just really quickly with ChatGPT, I want to say, hey, ChatGPT, are you able to access the Vectric Aspire software on my computer and test the gadget yourself? I know the answer, but just I want you to see what how ChatGPT explains it. I don't have the ability to directly access or run Vectric Aspire or any other software on your computer. I can only help by analyzing your LUA gadget code, HTML, and error messages that you share via screenshots, pictures, whatever. That said, we can make testing as smooth as possible by writing a LUA and HTML self-contained version of safe patterns, like a little manual of safe patterns, so that they load cleanly in Aspire 12.5. We can add a debug box so we can debug things for button power handling. We can iterating quickly when we share the error message or the screenshot for Aspire, so I can pinpoint the issue and rewrite the snippet. If you'd like, I can add a diagnostic mode to the LUA button handlers. Whenever you click a button, it will show a simple handler fired message. That way you'll know instantly whether Aspire is recognizing the button, LUA connection, and we can separate the wiring error from a logic error. Right? Do you want me to add this quick logistics or diagnostic instrument so we can test the buttons easily? Right? So it do that.
Right.
Now, once all that's done, Ronnie, I can take that stuff out, right? All that bloat, all that testing and diagnostic, I wouldn't need it for the final version or whatever. But during the testing phase, it might be easier to, have that loaded in. So I know it's a button issue versus a logic issue. Is it the HTML versus the LUA kind of thing?
It might be cool too if you could just have it comment out that code once you've gone through your test, but leave that commented out code within the file itself, so that if you ever needed to use it again, you could just uncomment it and run.
Yes, exactly. 100% right. Correct. Yeah, just comment out. Now, to go, so now I'm going to pop over to my Galaxy AI account. If I put in the right account, we'll be good to go. Build it TV. BuildItTV.com. Y'all can't see my keyboard, can you? How do you want to use Galaxy AI? I don't. How do you skip out of this? Where's my skip button? What in the world?
I think it's a normal
yeah,
thing.
I haven't been
Check
on the
this.
account in a little bit. Let's see here. Videos, editing, enhance, all the above. How did I discover you guys? It was Facebook. Okay. All right. So now in the let me make sure I'm in my account here. Bear with me. Let me just verify that I'm in my account. Give me just a second, guys. I need to. Yeah, I'm in my account. Okay. So going, let's have a conversation with bear with me a second here. Okay, Ronnie, you were saying, have you tried this with a guy? Are you talking about the Control F, like the search and everything? Let me see here. All right, let me see here. If I can do Control F, good. And DWC 2440, it highlights it. Yeah, so and this is ChatGPT 4. Where's my ChatGPT 5? So I can switch over to GPT 5 and everything. It would help if I. Yeah. So yeah, it's all the same and everything.
Why do they maintain those older versions? I'm assuming those are versions.
Yeah, those are older versions and all, because each one of them had their specialty. They, each one of them was good at something.
They don't
5 is supposed to be
forward.
all encompassed and everything, but so if you look here, the performance on this one, it was thoughtful. Like, see, ChatGPT 5 is not. It's a little bit more stiff, right? It doesn't have a personality. The earlier versions they were thoughtful. It had a really great personality and stuff, when it was conversating with you and things like that. 5 is more, like rigid and all. But this version, it has reasoning capabilities, supports web searches, uploads images and all, and everything, and it's best for advanced searching, complex solving problems. This one is for faster interference and agentic capabilities and and everything. So there's all kinds of different versions that do, they have their own specialties. Superior reasoning. Some were some more. 4 was very good at reasoning. But it was thoughtful. It was more personable and stuff like that. So they maintain them. And then, of course, there's Claude, there's Gemini, there's Perplexity, which is really great. DeepSeek, Ministry, Microsoft, and everything. But you have access to all of the major GPTs. and everything, not just Chat GPT, Perplexity and everything. So within Galaxy, and that's $15 a month. And there are over, so if we look at all tools, there's over 3,000 plus AI tools, from anything from like images, creating videos, documents, audios, text. And so an image, for photo studio, photo generator, headshot generator, image editor, clothes changer, face swap, right? All these things. So all of these tools are all under one umbrella for $15 a month. And I've got 80 million credits. You get 15 million a month. They keep building up, right? And everything. And heck, if I were to do something like, for instance, if I were to, let's do a quick image, AI image generator. If I say create an image of a monkey in riding a rooster, to create that image, and I'll just use ideogram for that, it only takes 0.09 of my 80 million, right? So I'm unlimited, right? It's unlimited for that 15 credits a month. Now my Chat GPT, the other window that we're in, this account is the Chat GPT Plus, and it is I'm on the Plus, $20 a month. Now, why do I have one versus the other? Galaxy is kind of my main Galaxy, but I've always had GPT, and I have a lot of history in GPT that my clone is on GPT there and everything. I could take all the information on my clone and put it on AI or Galaxy AI, but it's just easier for me to work in there and everything. So and maintain. And in some cases, because not only these two plans, a monkey on a rooster, right? Not only those two plans, but I also have my super helpers. Now the super helpers, these guys and girls, let me log in. My super helpers, these are AI bots, and they are like Stella is a social media bot. She works in Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. She can create images and files. She has access to my Facebook, so she can create posts for me and all. Vinny is my virtual assistant, Cody, and so I have 70 different robots that work for me that do different things. And if I go back to my chats with them, for instance, Stella and I were talking a couple of days ago, and Stella helped me write the post for the release of the limit switch kit that I just released and all that stuff, and she posted on Facebook and everything for me. But so these guys and girls, they're separate. They're not. They use ChatGPT and all that stuff, but they literally can access my accounts, my Google Drive, my Facebook, not YouTube yet, but Instagram and stuff. They can access my files on my computer, and we can work together. They are literally they are interactive. And these can access files and things. They're called super helpers and all. And I believe the super helpers, they cost me around, I believe it was $300 or $400 at the time, but I own them now. So And if you're ever curious about that, that's Darius Lucas Academy that provides all the AI training and stuff like that. So my library, I have the Ultimate AI Toolkit, the Ultimate GPT Bible, the Microsoft Copilot training, right? So I went through all this AI training and everything through the Darius Lucas Academy. It was good for me back when I was learning AI and stuff. All right, let's end this with a bang. We have successfully, I'm not going to create the diagnostic report at all, but we have successfully created that little simple, we took that sample, we asked it to create a user interface where we could put our own measurements in, and then, create it, right there in the center. So it did that for us, right? It wasn't hard. We had to go through a couple of little errors and all to get the buttons to work and all, but I was able to create that. It didn't have a user interface before, but I was easily able to create the user interface with GPT, helping with the coding and everything, and I didn't have to code it, right? So I don't know if you learned anything from this class tonight or got anything or whatever, but hopefully you take a look at this. And what I'm going to do is what you'll see here in a little bit, I'm going to create a folder, a download folder that's going to have the little list of, the best way to prompt GPT for things. It's going to have the wiring language that I use here so that your HTML file and your LUA file really communicate very well with minimal issues. And other little tidbits that you might need. And I'll provide that for a digital download for y'all. Okay? So that you have it, and that'll give you a head start. I'll put in there the LUA manual, so that way you can just upload the manual and write to GPT, and you can get kicked off pretty well. Everything that I put in the folder, you could literally upload to GPT and start its education and work from there, kind of thing. I'll make sure it's a kind of a user-friendly environment for you. Also, have you heard or used Carveco? No, but I know someone that not Carico. I know someone that that uses it, and just to let you know, or something. When I found out from them and everything, is if I'm not mistaken, Carveco is also like Vectric, kind of derived from ArtCam. The people, they kind of splintered off back in the day, and Vectric was born and all that. Well, Carveco, same origin story. It's a pretty neat little user interface. The Carveco program, the Carveco software program, and they derived from, they originated from Vectric and ArtCam employees, branching off and creating their own program and everything. Let's see here. They were formed in 2018. It was basically kind of an ambitious cooperative that for users that basically that when ArtCam was discontinued, they picked up the baton, right? And said, hey, it was driven by a deep admiration for ArtCam. ArtCam is a really good program. Acquiring when Autodesk, their founding members, Carveco's founding members, initiated negotiation with Autodesk with the goal of acquiring ArtCam. And after months of discussion, an exclusive license agreement between the two companies was made. So that's where it comes from. So it's kind of it's derived from Autodesk, Fusion 360, ArtCam, all of that stuff, and everything. I don't know. I've never worked with it and everything, but it's not cheap. I know that. And if I am,
I think it was like 17 based on what you got, but there's another one of those
yeah.
monthly subscription things.
Is it a
And,
subscription or is it a buy as you go? Oh, it is
well,
a
you can
subscription.
you
Yeah,
can buy
$17
it.
a month or $180 a year.
Yeah,
Okay, the
but
maker version.
yeah,
Right. This is the one that that I was, right here, the full perpetual license, $1,500. So it's just like a Vectric Aspire, right? Buying a Vectric Aspire kind of deal. But I've never worked with it. I've seen the user interface. I know a little bit about the history of it because I have a customer that works with it and all. But it's not a bad little user interface, not a bad little program and everything, but I don't know all the ins and outs of it or any of that stuff.
I was looking at it from the standpoint of it making 3D models using AI.
Yeah.
And I was also kind of curious if now that you've got Galaxy AI for image generation, I was wondering if you still utilize Photo or Photar or Photar.
No, Photor, that $10 a month, I canceled it because I can do it all here.
Okay.
I can do, I can do it all here. And Photor, FOTOR, yeah, I canceled that shortly after I got Galaxy AI. I haven't had Galaxy AI very, very, very long. I mean, I had it for some time now, but not too long.
The first thing I like about Galaxy AI is all you got to do is go on there, once a day and click on free credits.
Yes. Yep. I believe that is right up here at the top.
Yep. I'm already up to like 60 million or something credits.
Yeah.
So last thing I do before I go to sleep at night is click on that.
Exactly.
Link.
Now mine renews on the 30th of September, the 30th of every month and everything, and then they just build up and all. But it doesn't take a whole lot of use. It doesn't use a whole lot of them. But when you're having the conversation with chat with AI, that is your GPT. That is everything we just did. In the other window, the GPT window, that's this window, right? You can train this, upload the same files, have the same conversations, create the same LUA script and everything here. Now, in the AI tools, if I come in here and typed in LUA scripting, there's none there, but if I just type in coding, let me see, scripting or coding? Scripting. It's not scripting, it's going to be coding. Yeah. The coding problem solver here and there, it's got some, like little standalone programs, but the chat with AI, they handle all the coding. And I could tell like this, whichever one you want to talk to, but I could tell this one to search online for LUA coding for Vectric. Along with the PDF I attached, and study the language so we can build a gadget together. And let me attach the PDF. Give me a second.
Ronnie, while we're waiting, are you just looking for help for making 3D models?
Yeah, more just kind of getting some ideas for next year for the 250th anniversary, or 250th birthday of the country. Just trying to, I don't know, just try to get some ideas for different images and create them into high-res 3D models to bring into Aspire.
Well, I know along with Galaxy, and I think we did it in one of Laney's classes. Sculpt, okay, was that Laney?
What was it now?
Soap, okay, or
Night all. Hey Keith, have a good night. We're all
there's
done. We're gonna say I'm sorry. I'm drifting off into La La Land. But yes, ladies and gentlemen, that ends tonight's class. So thanks for hanging out with me. Thanks, Keith. Sculpt. Jared, I'm sorry, I wasn't paying attention to what y'all were conversating about. What is it now? 3D model making?
yeah, 3D model generators. And I know we did with one of your classes. I thought it was Sculpt okay or something like that.
Are you talking about where we took a photo and created a depth map for it and then created a 3D model off of it?
Maybe
Yeah,
that was
because
one.
because one of the ones, the one with the leopard in the tree, we actually created that. I was in Photor. I created the image and then I brought the image in and created the model from it, importing it into Vectric. I don't remember creating a model outside of that, but now there is 3D model generators, AI generators that are really good and everything. But
Are those within
Yeah.
Galaxy AI? Those model generators?
I don't know. Let's find out. So let's go back up here to all tools.
Yeah, you've got a model. I got to believe that they have a model generator.
AI image to 3D, and then AI texture generator. So AI image to 3D, convert any image into a detailed 3D model using AI. So the well, let's see. Let's give it a fair fighting chance. Let's give it a fair fighting chance. Generate 3D model. Let's see what happens here. "3D model successfully generated." I don't know. I don't know if that's successful or not. But it needs a little work. Yeah, needs a little work. But
I mean,
yeah, GLB. Let me see here. AI 3D model generator. Meshy. I'm seeing a lot of ads for that on TikTok. Meshy, and I think Meshy is the 3D modeling will never be the same. The best generative AI tool is Meshy. So yeah, they're Meshy's AI. So with Meshy, we'll just kind of look at a real quick example. Text, you can type out what you want to text a 3D model. Whimsical fox explorer wearing explorer's costume. Texturing, smart remesh, rigging, like if it were animation and all that stuff. So yeah, Meshy's got, it's kind of, it looks like it's pretty packed. Text to image and all that. So I'm wondering how much. So if we go to pricing, free 100 monthly credits, free, no credit card needed. So you can get 1 task waiting in the queue, 10 downloads per month. That's not bad. I don't think I need to make that many models a month. Then you have Pro for $15, Studio, so.
Yeah, I'll probably
There's
figure out what I
also-
want, and I'll be reaching out to you, Laney, and have you guys make them.
Right? That's one way to do it.
You and your team, yeah. That way I can be busy off doing something else.
Right, there you go. But ladies and gentlemen, long story short, if you ever think about, if you're looking at all the gadgets that are there, also remember that gemandi.com is a place where you can download gadgets. It's a little library of Vectric gadgets that they've got cabinet maker gadgets and, different things, decorative joint maker and all that stuff, dovetail makers and things. But if you ever thought you might want to try to experiment with making a gadget, even if it's it doesn't have to have a user interface, it doesn't have to do fancy things or draw vectors. It could just pop up information. It could tell you information about certain things of your project. And it could generate a report or something along those lines and stuff like that. Very easy to do. Give it a try. Give AI a chance to help you out. And I'll create the folder for you to kind of give you a little stepping stones to feed your GPT. And then, hopefully you can build from there. But with that being said, we're 2 hours into this and everybody's probably half asleep. But I appreciate y'all. And I don't know if it was interesting or not, but hopefully you got something to, some kind of takeaway. I don't know. We'll see. But I do not know what next week's class is going to be. I don't even know what tomorrow's class is going to be, but we didn't have a class last week, so we're going to have a class tomorrow, a public class. I don't know what it's going to be, but we're going to, make it something. I'll figure it out. If you have any suggestions or anything, throw them in my email or something.
As far as I'm concerned, you can keep rolling with this.
Oh, yeah. I mean, this could go on forever. My thought was I just wanted to kind of get the introduction, like, hey, but, there might come a time where we come up with a gadget idea or something and we build it, build it and work through it, and not, do other things, but, maybe work through something like that one day for something that's actually useful, right? And
I think it'd be nice to have a gadget to make the whole building the 3D models, easier, if that makes sense.
We'd have to figure out the outline, like what it does, like what we want it to do, and then we could absolutely explore anything like that.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't think anything's off the table. I honestly don't think anything is off the table right now, except for toolpaths.
I think if you just had something that you could bring in with a conversation window that says, "Hey, drop," just like the AI generator, drop in your image here, and then you could set, what you want your I don't know, the various different options when you're creating that, where you're setting up the height, the base height, you're setting up, all those different parameters. But just have it in, normally you have to go through several different pop-ups or options to get where you want it. But if you have that in one single view, menu page,
right,
where you can go through there and fill it all in, and then say, hey, now click OK and go create it.
Yeah.
Then you can.
What would be nice now to kind of wrap this up? What would be nice, and thank you for the birthday wish, Keith Kessler. But what would be nice is Could you imagine if you could create a gadget or something where you could import, let's say, a PDF of a blueprint, right? And it build the model off that blueprint.
Right, there you go.
Or even now take it further. I'm not the greatest drawer, but if someone even drew something out, it didn't have to be like a professional type of blueprint, but if something was drawn out or something, even if it was like let's say it was a file, I'm trying to think of a CAD program, but even if you drew the vector with all the measurements and everything, and you open the gadget and it pulls all those measurements and it makes the 3D model based off, what you drew or what, side view, top view, front view kind of thing. I don't know. But yeah, that would be an interesting thing. I'll research that a little bit more, Ronnie, and see if that is something that is possible. And then we'll definitely, maybe look at that one day. It won't be in next week's class, but we'll definitely circle back to it for sure.
That's cool.
That would be interesting.
Laney, are you familiar with PLCs? Programmable logic controllers?
Okay.
Okay. Pretty much standard in the controls industry.
Okay.
Been around since the 60s. And we would have to draw these things up. So normally it would take anywhere between 6 to 8 hours to draw one of these schematics up. Using AutoCAD's scripting language, AutoLisp, we got it down where it read a Excel file for, push buttons and limit switches and things like that. It would automatically generate that drawing in under 5 minutes.
Really?
Yeah. So this is why, like I said, I'm sitting there spinning what I could do with something like this now.
Yeah, because a gadget doesn't have to be just some kind of simple little gadget. I mean, you could get complex with it. Not when I say complex, I don't mean that in a negative way. I mean, you could it could be a side companion, a companion software, if you will, built within the the Vectric environment. That gadget could do you could make it to where it could have that kind of power. That's the proper word. Where it's that powerful enough of a gadget. It doesn't have to be a simple little gadget that just makes vectors and all. There's there's quite a bit that you can do with it.
Well, I was thinking too, Laney, like things that just are kind of redundant, like bitmap trace. Like you had a gadget for bitmap trace, right? Where you just you bring it up, you import your image right from this gadget, and it already has your default settings. Like I know you always use different
75. Yeah, right, exactly.
And it's just right there. You don't have to go and touch anything. You just have your default set for you, and boom, it's there. The trace is done. You click OK, and it would just be faster, I would think.
Yeah, that would be a good one. Yeah, I totally get it. Yeah. I totally get it. Where you literally, it creates a user interface where you can open the file. It opens the file. It already it knows the tool, the your trace bitmap, but it already has your preset loads in there, and creates the tracing on its layer, its own vector layer and everything. You can do a preview. Sure, that would be easy to do. That actually wouldn't be hard at all.
Yeah, and I think it would be just a time saver too. From having to go and move the input a value or navigate the slider or whatever. But yeah, it just there's a lot of powerful options out there. It kind of get me excited too.
And it does. If you're some of us are I'm getting a little old in the tooth, but long in the tooth, but I'm not a spring chicken anymore. So this is something I literally back in the day I would be like deep diving every aspect of this and just trying to come up with cool gadgets that maybe I could sell for digital downloads or whatever, right? Or things like that. But knowing now that I don't have to code it. Now this is the point I'm trying to make. knowing now that I don't have to write that code and try to figure it out and all that, that I could use AI to help me with the most complex part of this. All I have to do is feed it the information or, give it the idea or whatever, and prompt it along. That's a game changer for, me throwing up my hand and saying, nah, I'm not going to try this to do exactly what you're saying. To write a script to do that for the image trace, that wouldn't be anything with the GPT. Matter of fact, I might play around with that and see what I come up with. But it's everything is possible. The doors are open, and it's just if you have a specific need for something, you can make it. Is all the whole point of everything.
That's cool.
All right, gentlemen, I'm gonna go eat some birthday cake and the rest of my pizza. But y'all have a wonderful evening, and we'll catch you tomorrow if you pop in and see me.
Okay, thanks a lot. Take care, JR.
All right. See you now.